Guys, just finished watching the England 21 game against Holland. I don't know if anyone's seen the game, but England winning 2-1 in the end. And to be honest with you, Harvey Elliott, you know, I've always rated Harvey Elliott, and I think with Harvey Elliott, he's showing Liverpool, why he's got a role to play this season. Big up to Sham, yeah, big up, bro, for coming on. I think, and again, Sham, you'll be more interested in this. Yeah, as I said, man, Harvey Elliott. So again, with Harvey Elliott is not expected to start this season for Liverpool, but I think someone of his quality should definitely be in and around the squad for Liverpool. He's someone that, as I said, if anyone remembers, he was one of the youngest players to play in the Premiership when he made his debut for Fulham. I believe he might have been 15 or 16 when he made his debut for Fulham. And obviously Liverpool then invested in Harvey Elliott. And I think, through no fault of Harvey Elliott's own, I think Harvey Elliott, for me, he's a very good player, but I think that Liverpool team, he's never really going to command a starting spot. Big up to Azim. I'm not sure who Azim is, but he's a mod anyway. But big up Azim. Maybe it's one of the mods that's changed his name, but big up anyway. Just looking at, because Germany are playing France, guys. Looking at Germany's team. I want to see France's team. Okay, so Wilson Odebear's playing. Mattis Tell is there. Lukaba's playing. And Guillaume Restes. Yeah, okay. So Restes, Lukaba, Mattis Tell, and Wilson Odebear. Okay. So that looks like it's going to be a good game. So yeah, big up, man. So yeah, big up to all the mods coming on. Daniela, DXR, Sham, Azim, Barbara Joseph. I'm not sure who Azim is, but Azim, let me know who you are, man. Oh, okay. Is Azim Reluctant Gamer? Is that Gamer? Gamer, big up, man, if that's you. So yeah, just finished watching the England 21 game. And as I said, I think Harvey Elliott, for me, I mean, Liverpool could actually cash in on Harvey Elliott and get a good fee for him. So I think he definitely can play for most teams in the Premier League as a starter for sure. But I think if I'm Liverpool, I'm keeping him, in and around the squad as another option, because I think he's got a lot to offer that Liverpool team. And to be fair, both goals he scored, right foot. The first one was a great finish into the roof of the net. And then the second one, he showed good strength and good composure to put it in the bottom corner, and see England obviously into the final, who they'll be playing either France or Germany. I think for Holland, obviously had a few players that are known to some Premier League players. So you had Ian Matson, formerly of Chelsea, of Aston Villa. And then you had Yorel Hato, Ajax's youngest ever captain in Europe. Obviously, both players started the game. I thought both players done very well. And then you've got the player on the right hand side looked very good. I think it's Manhoff, left-footed, inverted, looked very technical. And to be fair, those three were the ones that stood out to me. And obviously the guy that come on to score the equaliser as well, which was a very good finish. But England obviously into the final. Harvey Elliott, as I said, getting both the goals. And to be fair, it was a very good game. Very good game. Just going to go through some of the questions before we get on to what we're going to talk about. But as I said, big up to all the mods coming on. Big up to Vicky. Vicky says, hey, man, can I get your opinion on a fitness personality? Vicky, give me a bit more than that. I'm not quite sure what you mean by a fitness personality. Yeah, give me a bit more information so I can something I can work with, because I'm not quite sure what you mean. Megastar says, bro, are you Somali? No, I'm not. I'm Caribbean. Big up. Big up to Vedat Mansuroglu, Turkish, I'm guessing. Don't understand what that says there, but big up to Vedat. Guys, listen, if it's your first time in there, come on, smash that like button. Let's at least try and hit 10 likes and subscribe to my channel at GavGoesIn. And give me your questions. So Vicky says, what do you think of Disha Patani? She's an Indian fitness influencer and actress, just physique-wise. Big up to Vicky. Vicky, I'm not quite sure who that is. But but I will try and check that out. I mean, obviously I can't really give you an opinion on that person. I've never really heard of her, but again, if she's putting herself on platforms for fitness, then I'm pretty sure she's gonna have some sort of decent shape. But as I said, I'm not sure who she is. But yeah, I will. I mean, if you remind me, once the stream's finished, if you just put a comment in the after the stream to check her out, and I'll try and see who you mean. But yeah, big up to Sham. Sham says you got a few Turkish followers when being there for holiday. Yeah, listen, Turkey obviously just come back from there. Was a good holiday, and as I said, yeah, I think there was a few people that did subscribe for me from there. But yeah, if you're in the chat, man, big up to all the Turkish people that again, I can't really understand what you're saying, but I'll try my best to get that translated at some time. But big up anyway. Big up to Yasmin Sajda as well. Says, what team do you like? So I'm a Man United supporter, and I also like Barcelona. So they're my two favourite teams. Man United just from young, very first team that I see play, and obviously followed them ever since. And then Barcelona through the history of the players that they've had. And yeah, as I said, Barcelona's my team, man. And yeah, obviously likes of Ronaldinho, R9, Neymar, Messi, Iniesta, Busquets, Rivaldo, Saviola, Sanchez. Like, yeah, the list goes on. The list goes on. Yeah, Yasmin likes Real Madrid. Listen, Real Madrid used to be when Real Madrid had obviously R9, Zidane, Figo. I used to love Real Madrid then. Obviously, I had Robinho, Arjen Robben as well, amongst many others, Van Nistelrooy. But yeah, my team is Barcelona, because the way that Barcelona play, and again, you look at likes of Pedri, Lamine Yamal as well now. Two of the best players in the world. So yeah, it's definitely Barcelona for me. But guys, listen up. Big up yourselves anyway for coming through. As I said, there's 24 of you watching. Let's at least smash the like button. Just one press of the like button to help the channel to grow. And again, make sure you subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. So yeah, guys, we're gonna get into the transfer talk. Obviously, we're gonna start off on Neymar. Again, Neymar, one of my favorite ever players. And signing a contract extension at Santos. And to be honest with you, wasn't to be surprised. To be honest with you, I think Neymar, as we know, obviously he's got probably one more World Cup in him, and I think the fact that he's probably going to stay close to home, in Brazil, I think it's ideal, because obviously the World Cup's in 2026. I think him going to another club and potentially picking up a few injuries and probably not playing as much. I think him playing in Brazil is ideal for with the World Cup just around the corner. And yeah, man, I think, as I said, I think throughout the years for me, Neymar hasn't got the adulation that he deserves, in my opinion. I think Neymar's a top player for me. I would go as far as saying, in terms of talent wise, people talk about Messi and Ronaldo and those two. I'd say Neymar probably is as talented as, well, he's more talented than Ronaldo, I would say. And I'd say, I think he's just ahead of Messi in terms of talent, but Messi obviously brings a lot more than just the talent, he's that extra factor. But as I said, yeah, I think Neymar, in terms of his overall ability, what he was showcasing at Barcelona and at PSG, yeah, for me, definitely one of the best players of his generation. And it's just sad to see that Neymar hasn't won a Ballon d'Or, really, because definitely if Ronaldo and Messi wasn't there, Neymar for me would have at least won about 5 or 6, definitely. But obviously the era that he was playing in at his peak with Messi and Ronaldo, obviously a lot of things were in play and they dominated it. And unfortunately, Neymar missed out. But for me, he definitely should have won at least a Ballon d'Or, for me, at least 5 or 6 times. But It is what it is. It is what it is. Guys, big up yourselves. I will get back to your questions 100%. But I just want to get through some of the news as well. And as I said, if it's your first time in here, we've got 26 of you in here at the moment. Let's smash the like button, guys. And let's obviously subscribe to the channel as well. And again, keep giving me your questions. And as I said, once I finish what I'm talking about, then we'll get onto your questions afterwards. And big up. But yeah, so as I said, Neymar signed the contract extension. And you'd have to believe, as I said, his adventure coming back to Europe. I'm not too sure if that's going to happen now. I think Neymar's going to see his career out, I believe, at Santos, play the World Cup. And then, for me, I think he probably hangs up his boots to end what a career he's had. And again, it's a bit sad because I'd love Neymar to come back to Europe. Again, I would love to see him in the Premier League, but I think due to the way he plays, the style of player that he is, and how physical the league is, I think him in his later stages of his career, I don't think the Premier League would be a good place for him to come and play, in my opinion. So I can see him seeing out his career at Santos, as I said, playing that World Cup and then hanging up his boots. And what a career he's had, man. As I said, one of the best players of his generation, if not the best. And again, one of my favourite ever players to watch, So, yeah. But, yeah, we're going to get into some of transfer news. Obviously, there's been talk about Jadon Sancho. Juventus interested in Jadon Sancho. Man United actually asking for 25 million. And again, I think this 25 million that United are asking for, I'm not sure if I believe that, because it's funny how 25 million was going to be what Chelsea was going to pay, which obviously that didn't happen. And they activated the 5 million to send him back to United. For me, I can't see Sancho going anywhere but a loan deal. I know there's been talk about him going somewhere permanent, but he's got 1 year left on his contract. And for me, I just think, why would you go somewhere on a permanent knowing that you basically hold all the cards, And again, people might say he's selfish, but again, football's a short career, and if you can get your money, then I suppose that's what you got to do. And for me, as you guys already know that's been watching, I would have Sancho back at United in a heartbeat, because I look at the quality of this team overall, and the quality isn't high. So to get someone of Sancho's ability playing as a left 10 in this system, for me, it's a no-brainer. And as I said, I'd love to have Sancho back at United, but it's looking like at the moment it's not going to happen. I mean, again, I'm just surprised that Jason Wilcox hasn't spoken to Sancho. Maybe he has, I don't know. And maybe Sancho obviously definitely wants to leave. But I would have thought Wilcox would have had a word with Sancho and tried to, as I mentioned before, reintegrate him into the back into the squad. But talk about Man United wanting 25 mil for him. I don't see that. And as I said, I think he goes somewhere on loan. There was talk about Fenerbahce, but I don't think he goes there on a permanent. I think if he goes Fenerbahce, it's definitely a loan deal. And then obviously he comes back to United, and he holds all the cards, as I said, because he hasn't really got long left on his contract, Paul Pogba and Ansu Fati. So, obviously I spoke about this the other day as well. Paul Pogba, Ansu Fati. What two good signings from Monaco? I didn't really see that happening. But to be honest with you, Champions League football, obviously Pogba's been out for how long he's been out for. And it's just great to see Paul Pogba playing football again. Because as I said, in terms of central midfielders, when Paul Pogba's fit, and he's playing regularly, there isn't a better central midfielder in world football. He has literally absolutely everything that a midfielder could wish to have, and it's just a shame someone of his ability, hasn't been playing football for about 2 years now. And for me, I think that the likes of Paul Pogba and Ansu Fati. I mean, Ansu Fati's just signed a new contract at Barcelona, and he's going on loan to Monaco. And for me, I'm surprised, because it just shows you how highly Barcelona still rate Ansu Fati. Because to give him the number 10 shirt after Messi, it just shows you how highly they rated him. Obviously, injuries and form have kind of killed his career so far. But Fati's still only, I think he's 21 or 22. Again, this is a guy that made his debut for Barca at 16. So the fact that, Barca have signed him onto a new contract, and they've sent him out on loan, is because Barca still believe in him, and the loan deal at Monaco is more of a case for him to showcase his ability, keep his fitness up, and when they bring him back, he's going to be competing for a spot. And again, if Nico Williams goes there, to bring Fati back and have him and Nico Williams competing for that left-hand side, that's going to be ideal for me for Barcelona. So the fact that they've signed to a new contract, I think is good news because, again, I'm still a massive fan of Ansu Fati. And I know a lot of people have kind of given up on him, but for me, he's a very good player still. And he just needs to get some regular football and confidence and stay fit. And hopefully that'll be at Monaco. But Monaco getting Pogba and Fati, I believe, to go with what they've got already as well. They've got a few younger players out there as well, and a few experienced players. So yeah, I just believe that having those two players I think that can push them. I think PSG will still win the league, because PSG are the outstanding team there. But I think Monaco, Marseille, they'll be battling hard for that second place. And bringing in Pogba and Fati, I think, that could possibly make them the slight favourites, in my opinion. But we'll have to wait and see. Guys, as I said, I will get back to each and every one of your comments once I've finished going through what I've gone through. Keep your comments coming through as well. Big up to Vidat and big up to Emiliana Urbina. Says, I've been following you since 2021. I'm your fan. Yeah, big up, man. Big up, Emiliano. As I said, yeah, my channel did start back in 2021, but I haven't really been active on it since then. I think over the last 5-6 months, I would say, I've been properly active on my channel. So, I wish I would have applied, this kind of hunger and passion to my channel when I first started, but obviously other things were going on. But now, obviously, as you guys can see, I'm always uploading every day. So, yeah, you've got content coming your way for, pretty much every day, as long as I'm able to do it. So big up yourselves anyway. Big up to KBT as well. Guys, come on, only 5 likes. Let's smash the like button and help the channel to grow. And again, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. I've written some stuff down just so I don't forget. Arsenal. And again, one I didn't really see, but for me, it's a signing that makes that makes sense, if I'm honest. And that's Arsenal in talks with Brentford's Christian Norgaard. I think the fact that Thomas Partey's going, they're getting in Martin Zubimendi, so they're kind of trying to revamp their midfield. And for me, Emiliano, Messi for me all day long. So big up to KBT says, are you from Peterborough? I'm not. But funny enough, actually, I bumped into to a couple out in Turkey that were from Peterborough. So yeah, I'm not from Peterborough, but I bumped into a couple from Peterborough. But that's ironic that. But big up. So as I said, Arsenal interested in talks with Christian Norgaard, and again, I didn't really see that one happening, but it makes sense for me as to why they're in for him, because if you think of Norgaard, he's Brentford's captain, and bringing his captaincy, his leadership into the Arsenal squad is a good idea. And to be honest with you, he's quite underrated as well, Norgaard. I think the headlines are always going with Brian Mbeumo, with Johan Visser. And I think Norgaard, because he's so consistent, I think sometimes players like that get overlooked. But for me, he's a very good player. And the fact that Arsenal are in talks with him, to be fair, that's a good signing, because if you've got Zubimendi coming in and Partey's going, you could play in more of a disciplined midfield in Zubimendi, Norgaard and Rice. Or if you want to play a bit more attacking, then you have Odegaard in there and play Rice, Zubimendi, or Rice, Norgaard. So, yeah, it's a good signing from Arsenal if they do get him over the line. The stumbling block for me would be the fee, because, again, attackers cost more money And you look at Brian Mbeumo, United having to pay over 60 million to try and get him to the club. Um, and you think Norgaard, their captain, I don't believe he'll cost as much as Mbeumo, because obviously Mbeumo's an attacking player and a goal scorer. But I think Arsenal might have to part ways with 50 million to get Norgaard. Because I think the fact that Brentford have lost their manager, they're losing arguably their best player in Mbeumo. I know Vissa's still there, but then if they're losing their captain as well, then I think they're going to try and at least go for 50 million for me. So, but Arsenal getting him, that's a good deal. I can't lie, it's a good deal. And if you look at their central midfield pairing, they've got Declan Rice, former West Ham captain, Christian Norgaard, current Brentford captain if he goes there. I believe Zubimendi might be vice captain at Real Sociedad. And then you've got the captain in Martin Odegaard. So they've got all captains in their midfield, which, again, in terms of leadership, is decent. Do I believe Norgaard is going to help Arsenal get over the line? I don't. But he's a very good player, and he will definitely add to their squad, for sure. Guys, as I said, I will get back to your comments. Big up yourselves as well. Again, there's 12 of you in there. Let's smash that like button, guys. Only 6 likes. Next, Anthony Elanga. Now, for me, Elanga's a funny one because, I think Elanga's a good player. I don't think Elanga is a great player. I don't think he is. If I'm talking about the best wingers in Europe, for me, he's not in the top 5, in the top 10. But I think it's a sign of where football is at the moment. Because if we look at the Premiership, in terms of wingers, Anthony Elanga is probably one of the best wingers in the league. And that isn't because Anthony Elanga is unbelievable. It's because the standard of footballers has dropped. And again, Newcastle had a 45 million bid rejected. And it's looking likely that they're going to come in with another bid. And the thing with Newcastle, you can kind of see why Newcastle are interested in Anthony Elanga, because you look at Newcastle's wide options. They've got obviously Anthony Gordon and Harvey Barnes out on the left, and then again both players, if need be, can play on the right hand side. And Anthony Elanga for me fits that mold because he can play both sides. He's got pace, he's got physicality as well. So he fits Newcastle perfectly with their pace and power. You look at Newcastle's team from back to front, their whole team is physical, and Elanga just fits into that easily, So I can see why they want him. Also, they've been linked with Johan Bakayoko of PSV, obviously West Ham's Mohamed Kudus, and who's the other player they've been linked with? Karim Adeyemi from Borussia Dortmund. So they've been linked with all 3 of those players. And again, Mbeumo was the first choice, But the thing is with Mbeumo, he's obviously told Newcastle that he wants to go to United. And I think definitely the fact that they're linked with all 3 of those players, it's quite obvious what Newcastle want. They want a left-footed player on that right-hand side. Because you look at Bakayoko, Kudus, and Adeyemi, all left-footed players, all got pace, all got strength. So yeah, you can see what Newcastle are trying to aim for. And then you've got Elanga, who can play both sides. So yeah, it's obvious what Newcastle are trying to get into their team. And I do believe Newcastle at least get one of those 4 players over the line. I think the Elanga one, 45 million. I mean, to think that Elanga's going to cost more than 45 million is crazy anyway. Because if we're being honest with you, yeah, big up, Sham, big up. Because to be honest with you, I think that, if we're being honest, Elanga's probably a 40 million pound player, if we're being deadly honest. But in this market now, yeah, he's probably about 50 million, 55 million. Because I think there's not a lot of as I said, there's not a lot of great attackers in this league, and he's probably one of the better ones. But if Newcastle pays 60 million for Elanga, I think Newcastle have to really look at themselves and think they could have gone elsewhere and got better. Because I think, as someone mentioned earlier, as Sham mentioned, Kudus, Mohamed Kudus should be the ideal target for them. I said this all along before the window opened. Newcastle need to get either Embuemo or Kudus on that right hand side, and obviously Embuemo is not coming. So for me, they should go all out for Kudus. You know, just like what I said yesterday with Chelsea. So, but it's looking like they want Elanga. Obviously can play both sides as well. So if Nottingham Forest quote them 60 mil, I think Newcastle should just walk away and then go and get Kudus for me. Because I think Kudus is better for me than Elanga, and will prove better value for money in my opinion. So, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. What else is there? Oh, and the last one. Obviously, I mentioned we spoke about this the other day, me and Jonas, on the channel on Monday. Alexander Isak. Now, I did say, you know, just like with probably many people, there's no way Liverpool can sign Isak. I think the only way Liverpool can sign Isak is if Isak comes out and says that he wants to leave, and then the bidding starts. Because I can tell you this for free: if Isak's not going to come out and says he wants to leave because he's got a great relationship, you can tell, with the fans. So if he stays put and doesn't angle for a transfer request, then any team that wants Isak, the bidding's going to start at, you would say, I would say 150 million, 150 mil. That's just the starting point. You know, if he hands in a transfer request, I'll probably go as far and say as, you know, you're probably looking at about 120 if he hands in a transfer request. But I think as it stands now, 150 easily. Now, obviously, the news coming out today is that Newcastle want to make him their highest paid player, which, again, there's no surprise there. Because, again, if you look at Isak's age, you know, what he's done in the Premier League since he's come there, I believe Isak might be, what, 25? You know, 25 or 20. I think he's 25. So he's at the prime age as well, along with Erling Haaland. You'd say they're the two best strikers in the league right now. And again, if you look around world football for central strikers, I know if you look at Real Madrid, I know Mbappe's playing through the middle, but Mbappe's not a natural born striker. So you'd say, you know, Real Madrid could do with Isak. Barcelona, obviously, Lewandowski's not going to go on for long. You know, Barca definitely a striker. He's ideal for Barcelona. Bayern Munich, obviously Harry Kane's still there, so you'd say no. PSG, as we know, they play with that fluid front three, and you've got Gonzalo Ramos, who they'll probably be looking at moving on. So Isak could play at PSG, but then that just means what's going to happen with Dembele. Is he going to go back out to one of the flanks? Which means, obviously, you've got Kvaratskhelia on the left. Doué's progress might be stalled, the same with Barcola. So they might not revisit Isak, I would say, because they've got that fluid front three. Again, City got Haaland, you know, and again, it's another 150 thing, which they won't do because Haaland's there. Obviously, Italy's a no-go, you know, because obviously, you know, there's no excitement in going to Italy, really. You'd be, if you're being honest. Then we look in England, and I look at obviously there's no point mentioning Man United because Man United desperately would love to have an Isak, but no money and, you know, no Champions League. So then the obvious one for me is Chelsea or Liverpool. Now, Chelsea for me, they needed an Isak, and I don't understand why Chelsea haven't made, you know, their interest strong in Isak. Probably because they know Newcastle are not going to sell him for anything less than 150. And again, it's going to be dependent on him coming out with coming through the transfer request. So yeah, I think Liverpool's the ideal one for me, definitely. And as I said, I think that's the team that, if we're being honest with you, you know, Isak would probably look at as the team he probably might want to go to. But again, as I said, Newcastle making him their highest paid player ever. I mean, it depends what he's on now. I think, if I'm honest with you, and Gamer, if you're in it, you might know a bit more. How much is Alexander Isak on? Because I think Isak at this moment in time now, he could possibly be on no more than 150. Oh, he's on 120. Okay. So again, I reckon Isak's new deal, if he's to become the highest paid player in Newcastle's history, I think Newcastle are gonna have to double that and even further. I think Newcastle will have to give him 250 as a starting price. Big up to Porsche, big up to Broderick. Porsche says, damn you cute boo. Yeah, big up Porsche, man. Listen, it's that cocoa butter, man. Cocoa butter every day. So, but yeah, no, big up yourself. And big up to Broderick as well. But yeah, as I said, yeah, if he's on 120, yeah, no, he won't get 150. 150, there's no point agreeing. 150, there's no point doing a new contract. I think he's gonna ask for, in my opinion, I don't think he asks for 300. You know, I think 250 will be his next one, with probably bonuses reaching 300 if he's to stay at Newcastle. Because if Isak was to go to Liverpool, the fact that, you know, you got Mo Salah, I would say, I think Mo Salah's rumoured to be on, what, 400 grand a week or something like that. I think Isak would definitely get 250, maybe 300 if he was to go to Liverpool, which... So Gamer says, or Azim says, yeah, I heard Newcastle making a contract for about 220. Yeah, in my opinion, I don't think 220 is enough, if I'm honest. If I'm Isak, I'll just stay on the... I won't agree to 220. I think 250 has to be the starting wage, you know, because again, you got to look at Isak. Isak's one of the best strikers in Europe, you know, and again, he can easily get 250 elsewhere. So I think Newcastle's new contract offer to him needs to be the starting point of 250. Yeah, listen, 250 is fair. You know, I mean, if we're being honest with you, if he was to ask for 300, he'll be fair to ask for that, because all you have to look at is, if you get rid of Isak, Newcastle, how are they going to replace Isak? I know there's talk about Hugo Ekitike, but you're going to have to pay 84 mil for Ekitike, maybe. And then the wage that he would want is probably more than the 120 that that Isak is on. So yeah, for me, I think they're gonna have to definitely give him the money that he wants. But I think if it's 250, fair enough. You know, I think that'd be fair enough. But if he asks for more than that, Newcastle will be very silly to say no to him. You know, but yeah, as I said, man, that's what the breaking news is. And as I said, yeah, I think he's well within his rights to ask for that. Guys, come on, keep your questions coming in. I'm going to go over to your questions now. But as I said, there's 20 of you in there. Only 7 likes. Let's try and hit the like buttons up. Again, if you're enjoying the content, it don't take too much to ask, guys. Just press that like button and obviously help the channel to grow. And again, make sure you subscribe to my channel as well. So let's go through the questions. So we've got let's see. So Yasmin says, what rapper do you like? Ah, there's plenty, man. There's plenty. There's plenty of rappers that I like. I can't really name one. If you give me a rapper's name, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you if I like them or not. But there's quite a lot. DXR says Neymar is just injured all the time. Yeah, as I said, man, that's why I think him staying in Brazil, closer to home, you know, obviously family there, it's ideal for him, really, with the World Cup around the corner. But again, I think in Europe, for me, I think Neymar's more or less done. I mean, I'd love to see Neymar back in Europe, but I don't think it's going to happen. You know, I think how old's Neymar now? I think he must be about, what, 30... Is he about 32, 33? If anyone knows how old Neymar is, let me know. I think he might be 32 or 33. So, yeah, I think he stays in Santos for one more season, possibly. Obviously, the team where he started, plays the World Cup, you know, and then that'll be it for Neymar, for me. Yeah, Sham, I agree, man. Neymar would definitely have won a few Ballon d'Ors if Messi and Ronaldo weren't there. I think Neymar was the outstanding player at a time when Messi and Ronaldo were at their peak as well. But I think what it is with the Ballon d'Or, as many people know, the Ballon d'Or is done on popularity. You know, obviously Ronaldo's popularity obviously is through the roof. You know, a lot of fans, and obviously again he was scoring and he was getting the numbers, and Real Madrid were obviously winning trophies. The same with Messi. Messi was the outstanding footballer, getting the numbers. Barcelona were winning trophies. So those two there were always going to be ahead of Neymar. The thing with Neymar was, in terms of talent, the best out of all three of them. But the difference with Neymar is that in terms of numbers overall, Messi and Ronaldo were always battling each other and were always 1 on 2. And the fact that Neymar was in the same team as Messi, if Barca were doing well, it was always going to be Messi, you know, because Messi's Messi at the end of the day. And it just shows you, man, Barcelona had a front line of Messi, Neymar, and Luis Suarez. 3 creators and 3 guys that score goals. Like, there's no weakness there. You know, there's pace there, there's strength, there's technical security and ability. You know, there's physicality, there's skill. You know, there's absolutely everything in that front 3. To have a front 3 of that and a midfield of Busquets, Iniesta, and Xavi or Rakitic, I'm sorry, man. You like that's a team that's very hard to beat there, man. But yeah, as I said, Neymar, man, what a player, and definitely should have won a few Ballon d'Ors. And it's a shame that he didn't really, man. But yeah, what a player. Big up to K. K says Bellingham or Mariano. Mariano. Are you thinking Mariano Diaz? Kay, if you're still here, is it Mariano Diaz that used to be at Real Madrid? Because the funny thing is, Mariano Diaz is actually from my dad's birth country, funny enough. If it is Mariano Diaz you're talking about. But big up. Yeah, Sham says Sancho's been linked to Juve on a permanent deal. Yeah, I see that today. If I'm honest with you, I can't see that happening. I can't see it happening because based on what I said earlier, Sancho's got 1 year left on his contract if he goes out on loan. I'm hoping United kind of just see the light and try to reintegrate him back into the squad for pre-season and go from there. But if he does go, it's going to be a loan deal, and then he's going to come back, as I said, 1 year left on his contract. Then wherever he goes, if he runs down the contract, the sign-on fee is going to be there. So, yeah, I can't see him going to Juve on a permanent deal, in my opinion. And the reason why I can't see it as well is because unless they're going to play Sancho on the right, they're not going to play him on the left because they've got Kenan Yildiz. And Kenan Yildiz is one of the best young players from that position in Europe. So I can't really see that happening, if I'm honest with you. Unless they're going to play Sancho in the 10 or from the right. I think the Juventus one, I think it's just rumours, in my opinion. But big up, Sham. Let's see. So Sham says, do you think Fati will become the next Bojan? You know Bojan, he was touted as the next Messi due to his goal-scoring record in the youth system and early success with the first team. Yeah, Sham, big up, man. Obviously, Bojan was someone that I watched a lot of when he's back at Barcelona. You know, if anyone remembers as well, the Ronaldinho lookalike, Giovanni Dos Santos. You know, so it was Bojan, Giovanni Dos Santos, and it was Jeffren. You know, those were the 3 players that were coming through at Barcelona. And obviously, you know, Giovanni Dos Santos, Mexican, Jeffren was Spanish, and obviously Bojan was Spanish as well. And those were the 3 that were put into the first team. And again, such as the level of Barcelona, you know, those 3 weren't bad players, but the level was too high. And again, Bojan obviously came to England, played for Stoke City as well, which is mad. But yeah, Bojan was a very good goal scorer, but I think the hype really wasn't justified in the end. And it wasn't to say Bojan wasn't a good player, because he was. But in terms of what they thought he was going to be, he wasn't that. And do I think Fati will become the next Bojan? It's hard to say, really. I think the fact that Barca have signed him to a new contract that just tells me everything, because Barca could have easily, washed their hands of him because they're looking at Nico Williams, and they could have just said, look, you haven't developed the way we thought you would. Obviously, the injuries are there, the loss of form, and they could have easily just moved him on. But the fact that they've got him to sign a new contract, it's more of a case of them putting him on loan and then seeing what he does in that loan. Because I can guarantee you this: if he has a very productive loan, I think they bring him back and then he possibly competes with Nico Williams for a start. And again, Barcelona will be in Champions League, league titles. There's a lot of injuries to contend with as well. So if they have Fati and Nico Williams, two Spanish internationals on that side, because Rafinha, you would think as well, might be on the move probably. Who knows? But yeah, I think definitely, man, Fati. I don't think Fati would go the way of Bojan. I think Fati has got a lot of ability. He just needs to just stay fit, and get regular game time. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. Emiliano says Barca or Madrid. I think I answered this earlier today. I used to love Real Madrid. You look at Real Madrid when they had the likes of Zidane, R9, Raul, Beckham, Guti, top player, Sergio Ramos, Robinho, Van Nistelrooy, Arjen Robben. There's other players that I've probably forgotten. Rafael van der Vaart, Wesley Sneijder. I mean, some of the players that they've had, if anyone remembers Royston Drenthe as well, left back, Dutch, Marcelo. They've had some absolute world beaters, man, in their team. And again, Mesut Ozil. It's probably players I forgot. Di Maria, Bale. But for me, Barcelona for me is because, as I mentioned earlier, Ronaldinho for me obviously was is one of my goats. Him, R9, and Messi for me. Whenever someone asks me who are your best three ever players, Ronaldinho, Messi, and R9 are the three that stick out for me. There are others, but that three can't be beaten for me. I like Adriano, Neymar, Pogba, Martial, Iniesta. Massive fan of Paulo Dybala as well. There's loads of players that I do like, but those three, obviously Zidane as well. But those three for me, they're the three. And again, Ronaldinho for me is the reason why, for me, I just love Barcelona, Because if anyone remembers, before Ronaldinho is Rivaldo. And Rivaldo, what a player he was. And someone that doesn't get spoken about as much as well. Javier Saviola, Patrick Kluivert, Philip Cocu as well. Pep, But yeah, they've had some absolute bad boys, Henry, Overmars. This is endless. Neymar, Messi, as I said, Suarez, Iniesta, Busquets, Xavi. They've had some absolute class players. But Ronaldinho, for me, is the one that made me fall in love with Barcelona even more. And yeah, Barcelona for me, man, definitely. But two elite clubs, man, that's what you will say. Azim says, Elanga's not worth it. I think 40 million's enough. Yeah, listen, the fact that Anthony Elanga's had a bid rejected of 45 million, football's in the bin, man. Let's be honest. Football's well and truly in the bin if Anthony Elanga is going for more than 45 million. Because, if Anthony Elanga was coming through the era of the Kun Agueros and that playing, the Luis Suarez and that, Elanga's a 30 million pound player. But because we're so starved of quality, especially in this Premier League now, you've got bids of 45 million being rejected for Elanga, which is madness, because Elanga's not a 45 million pound player anyway. And the fact that Forest have rejected it is crazy. But again, Forest will say 45 million is not enough for Elanga in comparison to what Elanga is for them. So that's probably why they're doing that. But if I'm Newcastle, I'm not even bothering making a second bid. Just go and get Kudus, because you can't be paying 60 million for Elanga. And I think that is what Forest are going to ask for, because Forest are probably looking at the likes of Cunha, Kud, and Mbuemo going for more than 60 mil. So they're probably going to ask for the same thing. But if Newcastle got brains, and again, Azim Gamer, if you can try and get on the phone to Eddie Howe, man, tell him to just go and look elsewhere because you can't be paying 60 mil for Elanga. Like that's just daylight robbery, that man. But who knows? Who knows, man? Maybe they know something that we don't. Killian 8616 says Adam Frizzell to Derry City. Yeah, big up, man. Sham says it's crazy how money has changed for transfers these days. You're saying Elanga would cost 50 million. Back in the day, you can get the likes of... Listen, Sham, you've taken the words right out of my mouth, man. 50 million is what got Zidane. 45 million, yeah, is not getting you... 45 million is getting you Elanga. And again, Elanga's going to cost more than Zidane. And obviously, yeah, we can say change of the times, all that kind of stuff. But if Newcastle make a second bid, it's going to exceed 50 million that that Real Madrid paid for Zidane. And that just puts into context of how much football's changed. Madness. Absolute madness. Yeah, but that's Newcastle's problem, and if they want him that much. So Isak turns 26 September. Yeah, exactly. So he's 25, man, at the moment. So yeah, he's at the peak years, obviously, you would say, for a striker. He's coming into his peak years, you would say. And as I said, because the strikers pool really ain't that great at the moment, he's going to be a prime target for the likes of Barca, you know. Again, Bayern Munich are going to need someone to replace Harry Kane when Harry Kane's done. Harry Kane's, what, 32 now, I think? So they're going to need someone to replace Harry Kane. Whoever that might be, I'm not too sure. This is why someone like John Duran, I think John Duran's going to be in high demand. Because once he comes back to Europe, you know, if he comes... Because I've heard talk that... wait, sorry, guys. Sorry to backtrack. I've just seen that... and this can't be true. And I want someone to try and confirm this for me, yeah? I've just seen that Arsenal's interest in Christian Norgaard, and they're looking to get him for 12 million. That can't be true. If anyone can confirm that he's going to cost 12 million, then put that in the chat, because if Arsenal are getting Norgaard for 12 million, I'm sorry, why Man United not in for him? I will never know. Unless he said he wants to play Champions League football, then fair enough. But you've got a player like that in midfield that easily starts for United. He's going for 12 million. If Arsenal get him for 12 million, that's great business. That is great business. So if anyone can confirm that Norgaard is going for 12 million, please put that in the chat, man, because I can't take that seriously. But yeah, back to what I was saying. So as I said, yeah, Harry Kane, obviously, I think he's 32 now. So they're going to be looking at his replacement. And that's why I said John Duran. There's been reports that John Duran is unhappy at Al Nassr. And again, John Duran's only 21. So if he was to return to Europe, let's say he has one more season in Saudi, he's going to be like 22. And he'll be in high demand because a lot of the big clubs in Europe will definitely be looking at him, you know. So yeah, this is why I'm saying someone like Isak, again, he'll be in high demand because of his age, what he's doing now. Yeah, you can't really turn your nose up at that, really. So, yeah. So Azim says, but Newcastle waiting on Liverpool to make offers because they don't might offer more than 220. Yeah, listen, Liverpool are not going to make an offer for Isak. They're not. The only way Liverpool make an offer for Isak is if Isak hands in a transfer request and shows a willingness that he wants to move. Because as I said, the bidding is going to start, I believe, at 150, which there's no way Liverpool, for me, are going to fork out 150, having just paid 116 million plus add-ons to come in the future for Florian Wirtz. Because I can't see Liverpool spending 300 million in one window. They've never done that, and I can't see that happening. So, for me, I just think that unless he hands a transfer request in, there's going to be no bid forthcoming. And again, why would Liverpool put in a bid when they don't really need to? Unless they're getting indication from Isak's camp that he wants to go. And I don't believe Isak will force a move because, again, his relationship with the fans, you can tell they love him. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't see Liverpool making any bid for Isak as it stands. Definitely not. Um, Big up to Ennis there. Yeah, big up, bro, for coming on again. Guys, come on. There's 32 of you watching live. Let's at least smash that like button. We've got 10 likes at the moment. And again, make sure you subscribe to my channel at GavGoesIn. 33 of you watching, 34 of you watching live. Come on. Smash that like button. Help the channel to grow. And guys, give me your questions. We've been going for 50 minutes. Give me your questions. Big up to Toad Edit says, what do you think of how Leeds will do next season? If I'm honest with you, Toad Edits, all the promoted teams, I think, go straight back down. You know, I've said this earlier. I think the reason for that is because the gap between the Premier League teams and the teams coming up is getting bigger and bigger, you know, with the money involved. You know, the Premier League's very competitive. And, you know, all you have to look at is the three teams that come up, went straight back down in Southampton. Who's the other team? Southampton, Ipswich, and Leicester. So I think all three teams that get promoted have a possibility of going straight back down. I think the only team that might have a slight chance is Burnley, because Burnley obviously had a good defensive record in the Championship. Premier League's gonna be different, but I do believe that, you know, if they set up defensively, you know, they might give themselves a chance. Even though I do think that even though I do think, you know, their defense will get breached. But as I said, I think it's going to be definitely the three teams that get promoted that go straight back down, in my opinion. Yeah. So yeah. So Neymar. So exactly, Neymar's 33, turning 34 next Feb. Yep. As I said, man, I can see him hang up his boots after the World Cup for sure. So Azim says Neymar was born one day after me. Okay, so what? February? Okay, cool, man. Broderick says you a Dominican. Yeah, bro. My dad was from Dominica, man. Born and bred in Dominica. My late father, yeah, Dominican. Guys, come on, 39 of you watching. You know, if you're enjoying the channel, smash that like button. Help it to grow. Big up to all the mods as well. And again, make sure you subscribe to my channel and check out all my other content. You know, some good content on there. And again, yeah, make sure you interact with your questions each and every time. Juve Edit says, what are your thoughts on Juve with Sancho? So I think I might have mentioned this already. I think Sancho doesn't go to Juventus, in my opinion. I think the interest that's been rumoured, I'm not sure if I believe that, if I'm honest, because, you know, I think first and foremost, the position. Because Sancho, for me, if he does come in, he's going to have to play on the right-hand side or in the 10. Because obviously Kenan Yildiz is on the left-hand side. So, yeah, and again, he's got 1 year left on his contract. So, I think a loan deal, I can see it happening. But I can't see a permanent for me. Definitely not. And rumoured Man United are asking for 25 million, which Juventus, as we know, with Serie A clubs anyway, they don't really pay that sort of money. So I can't really see that happening. But who knows? Who knows? As I said to you guys already, I'd love Sancho to come back to Man United. That would be me first and foremost, obviously with his quality. But we'll have to wait and see. Juve Edit says Saba. Who's Saba? Have I read that right? Saba. Ennis there, big up, bro. Says, what are your thoughts on Arsenal signing a new midfielder instead of a striker? And Berta is really putting pressure on the striker market, but Man U are really silent. But they should an unknown player. So first and foremost, Ennis there, and big up for your question. My thoughts on Arsenal signing a new midfielder, as I've already mentioned, Christian Norgaard, to be honest with you, is very underrated, and that's a great signing for me. I would say for Arsenal. The fact that he's going to cost £12 million, I'm just not sure why. First and foremost, his former manager Thomas Frank isn't interested in that deal, because to get him for 12 million, you know, where the midfield market, you know, in terms of prices, is going to be sky high. He's a captain for Brentford. You know, he's vastly experienced as well. Danish international. 12 millions are still. So the fact that other clubs are not interested in him is surprising. Who knows? Maybe other clubs might come into it. But for me, as we all know, and it's probably getting quite boring talking about it, we all know Arsenal need a new striker. You know, they've been rumoured to well, not rumoured. Obviously, they're heavily interested in Sesko. Obviously, the Gyökeres talk as well. I think if they was to get Sesko and then get Norgaard, for me, they're not needle movers for Arsenal. Arsenal need to go out and get, you know, a goal scoring striker and a left winger. And if Arsenal go and do that, I would go as far as say, because for me at this moment in time, City and Liverpool are the two favourites. But if Arsenal go out and get, let's say, a Gyökeres or an Osimhen, and a left winger, you know, I'm not going to mention Rodrigo because you're not getting Rodrigo. But if they go and get a left winger, you know, that's better than both Martinelli and Leandro Trossard. I'll go as far as saying that I would possibly put them in the bracket with Man City and Liverpool. That's how much I think it changes them. If they just go out and get Sesko and get Norgaard, you know, Norgaard again is an improvement on their midfield. Sesko's not going to be the deciding factor in what they need, in my opinion. So at this moment in time, I have Arsenal finishing 5th behind City, Liverpool. I'm going to put Chelsea there. I do believe Chelsea will get a few signings over the line, and Newcastle. So I see Arsenal at the moment 5th, but they can easily go to, you know, 3rd, you know, battling City and Liverpool if they get what's required. But I can't see it happening. Man United, again, you know, the likes of Mbeumo is what they're focusing on right now. Again, if any of you guys been watching my channel, you know, you'll know that my number one target is a midfielder. Carlos Baleba is the ideal profile and should be the outstanding player that United go for. But again, there's been no links there. And I done a stream the other day actually about Victor Boniface. I know there's been talk about Gyökeres and Osimhen, but the other Victor in Boniface, I think United, you know, need to be looking at Victor Boniface, if I'm honest as well, because Boniface is younger in terms of his attributes and his skill set. I think he'll complement the wide forwards. You know, again, Joshua Zirkzee for me, and I'm getting sick and tired of seeing people say Joshua Zirkzee is not a striker. It's the biggest myth I've ever heard. Germany beating France 2-0. The biggest myth I've ever heard about Joshua Zirkzee ain't a striker. Joshua Zirkzee is a striker. He always has been a striker. And as I mentioned the other day, you can't just compare all strikers as the same, you know. I made a comparison the other day. You wouldn't compare Harry Kane to Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland plays on the shoulder. Harry Kane likes to drop in and get involved in the play, you know. So when I'm hearing people say that Joshua Zirkzee is not a striker, you know, he maybe ain't a striker for Amorim at the moment in this system, you know. And again, Amorim needs to learn very quick and realise that Joshua Zirkzee is a striker and you just restore him back to playing there. Because if you've got wide forwards either side, you know, you need a striker that's going to facilitate the wide attackers. So Zirkzee is a striker. You know, you've got someone there that is a striker. But if United did want to go for another striker, Victor Boniface you probably get for cheaper. I would say around 40 to 50 mil. You know, that's something that the club should be looking at. Obviously, Ekatike has been talk as well. Obviously, the Gyökeres talk, but that's died down. And again, Gyökeres is someone that I didn't really want anyway, if I'm honest with you, because I think there's better options out there or other alternatives, you know. Again, if you've got wide forwards that score goals, you don't necessarily need a goal-scoring striker. You don't. Because if you've got a goal-scoring striker, then it just means that the wide forwards then become redundant in a sense. Because if they're guys that get goals, you need a number 9 that's going to link the play and which enables them to get the goals. You know, so, if you've got a striker that can link the play and get his fair share of goals, again, it's a bonus. But if you've got creators and you need an out-and-out goal scorer, Erling Haaland, as I said, look at Man City, then it works. But to go and get Gyökeres and you've got Mbeumo and Cunha, I think on paper that's goals, but I've got my reservations if that actually works. In my actual opinion, I think you need more of a link man type of striker, and I think Xerxes does that, and I think Boniface could offer that as well as a target man. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see, man. But yeah, great question. I'm not really a massive fan of Chido Obi, if I'm honest. I don't really think he has the technical attributes to be a great player. I think in terms of his goal scoring instincts, I mean, you don't score that amount of goals in the youth if you haven't got goal scoring instincts. So he's got that for me. But in terms of what I'm seeing of him, he's very raw and would need a loan move. But I think if Man United are looking to, be a force in the future, I don't think Chido is the answer, in my opinion. So, but who knows? Who knows? So Azim says maybe get Elanga and Kudus as Murphy's our only right winger. Yeah, listen, I think Kudus should be obviously Mbuemo was the one they were looking at, but I think Kudus should definitely be the main target now. And then if you still want to get an Elanga, yeah, because obviously let's not forget as well, Jacob Murphy can also play right back, so he can cover at right back. And if you used to get Kudus and Elanga, which again I can't really see happening because Nottingham Forest are rejecting 45 mil. You're looking at Kudus, he's going to cost about 60 mil as well. Can I see Newcastle spending 120 mil on Kudus and Elanga? I can't. But if they were to get both of them somehow, that makes them very potent, because there's goals there, there's pace, there's strength to go with what they've got already as well. I think Jack Grealish should be a great signing for Newcastle, because Grealish can play in that 10 and play from the left if need be, and he'll be the creator that they haven't really got in my opinion. So yeah, big up to Adan, big up Adan. Guys, listen, there's 33 of you in there watching. Okay, let's smash that like button and subscribe to the channel and keep giving me your questions. So Guna Instigator says he's got a mental issue. That is true. It came from Ornesty. So Guna Instigator, I'm not sure who you're mentioning about mental issue. If you're mentioning me, then if I'm you, I'll check the spelling mistakes before you start saying all that nonsense. But big up yourself for coming on anyway. Oh, okay, you recorrected yourself. I'll take it back. Big up, man. Sham says, Big Six Bants just put up a video that Liverpool have entered the race to sign Gyökeres. He will most likely go to Arsenal if they don't get Sesko. Yeah, again, I'm not surprised at that because if I'm honest with you, Liverpool were always going to look at Gyökeres. Like, that was obvious. Liverpool, as we know, need a striker. They've been linked to Ekatike, Gyökeres. Isak's their dream, obviously, but that's a hard deal to do. So, yeah, I think they were always going to be linked to Gyökeres, but I'm just going to wait and see who he actually chooses. I think there's been so much rumours, but nothing concrete. There's no bids coming at the moment, so we'll have to wait and see on that one, But if Arsenal are serious, they just go and get Gyökeres rather than getting Sesko. If they get both of them, then fair play to them. Broderick says another midfielder for Arteta. Shock. Yeah, listen, I'll be honest with you, man. He's costing 12 million. So I think this is the one thing we can say. I don't really blame Arteta for going for Norgaard. He's experienced. He's a leader. And he's costing 12 mil. That's a steal. I'll tell you that for free. Big up to Adan. Adan says, what do you think about Lamine Yamal? Easiest question of the day. He's the best. He's the best player of his generation for sure, and he's going to be the next dominant player of the Ballon d'Or. Easy, best player in the world right now at 17 years of age. If Lamine Yamal doesn't win at least 5 Ballon d'Ors, something's gone wrong with football. That's how highly I rate him, because I look at players right now in football. There's no one close to him of that age. I mean, what he's doing at 17, you shouldn't really be doing. Because 17 is an age where you're developing. But he's already playing as a mature adult at the age of 17. So there's no doubt in my mind, if he stays clear of injury, then this is a guy that's going to dominate the Ballon d'Or because there's no one, in my opinion, that's close to him. And look how old he is already, 17. You know, he's a key player for both club and country. Like, that's how good he is. So, yeah, top player, man. But big up, Adan. Great question. And an easy one, should I say. Chrism Ark says, come on now, fella. The qualified Champions League UCL sign. Who they want first, then it's the Europa Cup teams get their pick. Then the rest of the Prem get to sign players. True story. Chrism Ark, I ain't got a clue what you're talking about. Come on now, fella. The qualified Champions League sign. Who they want first, then it's the Europa Cup teams get their pick. Then the rest of the Prem. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what you're talking about, man. But big up for coming on anyway. Gunnar Instigator says they'll need to offload Jota and Nunes first. Yeah, I see Jota staying because I believe Jota will become, you know, the impact sub. But Nunes, for me, definitely goes. He definitely goes. And the fact that, you know, there was links to Saudi looking at Nunes for, what, 60 million? Then, yeah, I think... yeah, I can definitely see Nunes going. And if Nunes definitely goes, they'll definitely bring in a striker. But Jota, for me, I don't see him going. I think Jota will stay as an impact sub. Sham says, Duran has been linked to Fenerbahce on a loan deal, totaling 16 million euros. Duran is dealing with personal issues and not liking the environment in Saudi, so it's possible he'll be loaned out. Sham, listen, if John Duran is being linked to Fenerbahce on a loan deal, I'm sorry, Man United just need to stop messing around and go in for him. Just stop messing around. If he's struggling to settle in Saudi, bring him back to England. 16 million loan deal. Mate, I'll do that all day long. I'm surprised there's other clubs, you know. Chelsea were linked with John Duran, you know. If Chelsea got brains, they're going to get him on a loan deal. You know, I can see him at Liverpool. I can see him at many clubs, Arsenal as well. If that is true, and there isn't any clubs that have come forward with a proposal for John Duran, if he is unsettled, then I'll be shocked because 16 million loan fee, you know, why not? Why not? You know, he's going to improve those attacks for sure. So Chris Mark says, you're right, Liverpool don't want Isak, but Liverpool are making sure Arsenal have to pay silly money if they want him. No, Liverpool do want Isak. Of course they want Isak. I think every team, every top 6 team, obviously is at Newcastle, would want Isak. It's just how much he's going to cost. And he's going to cost a lot of money. So Liverpool do want Isak. Yeah, they do. Big up to 40 Years Life. Big up. Gunnar Inskater says, Ramsdale, how many teams has he got relegated? Did he get relegated with Bournemouth? I think he did. So I think Bournemouth and Southampton, I think it might be. Yeah, 2. I believe. Yeah, I think it's 2. So 40 Years Live says, I reckon Leeds will stay up, but the other 2 will go down. I'm not too sure. I don't know. Obviously, a lot of it depends on who they bring in the summer transfer window. And I think how they start as well. I think with those relegated teams, the key for them is getting points on the board early. You know, if they start getting beat earlier on in the first 5 to 10 fixtures, that's when it's going to prove tricky for them. So yeah, we'll have to see, man. But I'm not going to change my opinion. I think all those teams that got promoted, I think they'll all go down because I think, as I said, the quality and the money in the league is far exceeding what the championship is. So, yeah. Big up to MSEF619 United. Yeah, big up, man. Big up. So, 40 Years Live says, if Liverpool don't win the league, Arne Slot will be sacked. You know what? What's actually funny about that is I don't think that happens purely because he's won the league anyway in his first season. So I think they'll give him another season for sure, in my opinion. But in another sense, the money that he spent on Verts, getting Frimpong in and Kirkes, and he still might spend. If we're going by standards, then really and truly, you have to kind of stick to the standards and say, look, you spent all this money and you haven't won us a league title, you're gone. You know, if we're looking at standards of like a Real Madrid or Barcelona, they're the standards. But I don't believe Liverpool do that, purely because he won the league in his first season. You know, I think second season, they would obviously be expecting a trophy. But if he doesn't win the league, I don't think they'll sack him. I don't think that happens. Chrism Ark says, Liverpool will sell to buy. I know that. I just hope we don't sell Harvey Elliott, who's the youth. You don't want to see your club sell. Yeah, big up Chrism Ark. I think you're, and I could be wrong, but I think you're saying that because Harvey Elliott got 2 today. And again, Harvey Elliott's a very good player. He is very, very good player. And I think what he done today against Holland, I think that's going to add a few million onto his price tag as well. But I think if Liverpool are serious, I think they keep him around, you know, probably as a squad player. I think Harvey Elliott will probably look at it and think, you know, he should be more than a squad player. But as I said, I think he's someone that can go and play for many teams in the league and start. So I think it depends on what he wants to do, you know. But yeah, he's a very good player, man, and 2 great finishes today for England under 21s. Big up to Pappy Peeper, says, big up from Southend-on-Sea. Yeah, not too far from me, Southend-on-Sea. Not too far from me, but big up. Ennis there says, imagine if they swapped Sancho with Douglas Luiz. Will you take Douglas at Man United? 100%, I'll take Douglas Luiz at Man United. Do I see that happening? No, I don't. So, as I said, I think there's no way Juventus, in my opinion, paid 25 mil for Sancho. I can't see Sancho going there on a permanent either. The swap deal, yeah, I can't see that. I can't see that. I think it's going to be a separate loan with Douglas Luiz. But why United haven't got the Douglas Luiz one advanced, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, man. But United need an upgrade in that midfield for sure. But yeah, I can't see that happening. But big up. So Pappy Peeper says, I'd buy Chris Wood, no joke. What, you'd buy Chris Wood for Southend? Or is that for, what team do you support, Pappy Peeper? You're saying you'd buy Chris Wood for what team? Just need someone that puts it in the net. I can see where you're going. I can see where you're going with this. I'm guessing you're an Arsenal fan because as I said, if you're talking about Arsenal, then I can see where you're going with the Chris Wood. But Chris Wood's not going to be signed by any of these top clubs because although Chris Wood does score goals, his all-round game isn't of the level of these top 6 teams that they would like. But Chris Wood does score goals, and I think he's perfectly suited to Nottingham Forest, if I'm honest. But big up, man. So Sham says Newcastle won't get 4th if they sell Isak. Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. If Isak was to go, they could probably get 3 players in. But yeah, Isak's crucial to them. He's crucial. He's arguably their best player, along with Sandro Tonali for me, and he's their main goal scorer. So yeah, he'll be a massive miss. The Janner of Plymouth says, hi mate, I know you talk about the big teams, but please give us Plymouth a shout out, as we now have Tom Cleverley in charge and can't wait for the season to start. Yeah, big up to Janner of Plymouth. Big up, man. Tom Cleverley, obviously ex-Man United, ex-Watford, obviously manager, player and manager as well. And I didn't actually know that Cleverley was manager of Plymouth. It's mad how Plymouth have had Wayne Rooney and now Tom Cleverley in charge. Madness. Yeah, I mean, how do I see Plymouth doing this season? I can't really tell you, to be honest with you. I mean, I've not really watched too much of Plymouth. If I'm right, did they get relegated from the Championship? Can't remember. But, yeah, Cleverley, to be fair, done a decent job at Watford. But I think, did he get sacked? I can't remember. But, yeah, it's probably a decent appointment, to be fair. But, listen, where's Sol Campbell? That's what I want to know. You know, where's Sol Campbell? Why is he not managing? But Tom Cleverley just steps in and gets a job. Why is that? Huh. Pappy people says Xerxes is a classic striker. He's a very good striker. Um, he's a very good striker. Very good striker. But you get some people out there telling you that he's not a striker. Harry Nalgas says Biggie. I'm guessing you're meaning the wrestler. Judging by your picture, I'm trying to think who you look like. Can't really see the picture properly. Harry Nalgas. Big E. All strikers used to be able to pass and dribble. People just forgot. It depends really, because Pippa Inzaghi wasn't a dribbler, wasn't someone that was known for his passing. He was just known for putting the ball in the back of the net. So yeah, but again, yeah, there's different profiles of strikers. That's what I will tell you, you know. And I think too many people try to compare other strikers based on what they like. At the end of the day, Joshua Zirkzee is a striker. He just isn't the type of striker that these people like. That's it. But to say he's not a striker, guys, Arsenal agreed deal up to 15 million for Norgaard. 15 mil, guys, for Christian Norgaard. So Arsenal got that over the line. In my opinion, you know, I'd love to put it on Arsenal, but that's a good signing for me. You know, Premiership proven as well. It's a good signing. So Ennis there says striker Matthias Kvistgarden. I've not heard of him. I've heard of Nico Paz. Nico Paz was at Real Madrid as a 10. And Angelo Stiller or Baleba as the midfielder. So this Angelo Stiller's name keeps popping up. You know, I think Exedra was the first one that mentioned, big up Exedra as well, was the first one that mentioned Stiller to me. Baleba's the one for me. Like, I'm not going to look past Baleba. I think Baleba is the ideal midfielder. Premier League proven, you know, press resistant, tenacious, 21 years of age, you know, primed to get better and better. So he's the ideal midfielder for me. The only stumbling block, I believe, will be the price. But the fact that there's no interest in him is quite concerning. Enes there says, do you think Onana deserves another chance? I mean, if I'm honest with you, you know, obviously goalkeeping is a crucial position. And do I think Onana is as bad as what people make him out to be? I don't think he is. Do I think he needs to improve? Yes, 100% he needs to improve. I think if I look at Man United's team now, Man United need to get rid of Garnacho, Højlund. You know, I wanted Bruno gone, as you guys know. But the fact that they didn't take up the deal for him to go to Saudi, I'm going to park that for now. But for me, Højlund, Garnacho, getting Rashford's wages off. Those three in particular, for me, are the three that need to go first and foremost. Then you've got the likes of Luke Shaw and Mason Mount. Those two I would get rid of before Onana. If you was to tell me, you know, Garnacho, Højlund, Rashford, Luke Shaw, Mason Mount are all going, and you can throw Onana in there, fair enough. But I don't want Onana going before those other guys have gone. So, and again, goalkeeping has been poor this season just gone. But I think Man United have other pressing matters to sort out, in my opinion, first and foremost. You know. Broderick says, don't know if you mentioned this at the beginning, but where do you place Neymar in football hierarchy? Great question. So if we're talking about all-time greats, you know, and this is a hard list, Neymar for me is in the top 10 of all-time greats. That's how good Neymar is, you know. If I'm looking at the top five, or top five, I'm saying Messi, Ronaldinho, R9, and then you got Maradona and Pele. But I'm not going to mention Maradona and Pele because they wasn't in my era. So in my era, in my opinion, Messi, R9, and Ronaldinho definitely. And then you've got the likes of Zidane, Iniesta. I think Neymar comes into the equation. Paul Pogba will be there for me for his ability, but it depends what we're actually basing it on, because there's Paolo Maldini's of this world as well. But yeah, it's very subjective. If we're talking about pure ability, then pure ability is different talk. But if we're talking about on trophies won or the career they've had, it's different. But it's not a straightforward question to answer really. But in terms of Neymar in football hierarchy, he's definitely up there. And I won't have no one tell me otherwise. As I said, he's one of the best players of his generation easily. So yeah, I'll definitely have him up there. As I said, in terms of pure footballers, I'd go as far as saying he's in the top five. So, but yeah, it's not easy, because there's been some great footballers over the years, and he's just one of them. You know what I mean? So, but great question. I hate them kind of questions, because it's one of them ones you want to answer, but then it's one of them things where if you was to do a list or a tier list, you're leaving out some absolute bad boys, and yeah, I hate doing that. But yeah, great question, man. McGinn 666 says, if Liverpool get a striker in, then the league is done. Yeah, listen, at this moment in time now, McGinn, for me, Man City are the favourites right now with the signings of Reinders, Ait Nouri, and Ryan Cherky. I did have Liverpool slightly ahead when obviously the talk of Wirtz, Frimpong, and obviously Kirkes there. But I'm going to say City right this moment now are the slight favourites for me. If they was to get an Isak, and I don't believe if they get Gyökeres or Ekatike, I don't know if that takes them above City for me still. But if they get Alexander Isak, then they're the outright favourites for me. That's what I will say, And big up McGinn. McGinn says Neymar doesn't get the respect he deserves. Bro, listen, 100%. He doesn't. He doesn't. Neymar for me is, along with Paul Pogba, they're two of the most divided players in terms of hate, because, and obviously again, we know why that is, because especially in this country, they don't like footballers. This country thrives off players that just run around, blood, sweat and tears on the shorts, all that nonsense, and they can't really relate to a player like a Neymar, like a Paul Pogba. But in other countries, these guys are held up because people can just see the actual ability of these two players, and the fact that Neymar gets a lot of hate in this country isn't really surprising, because Neymar has a kind of style that, as I said, this country just loves to hate on, which is unfortunate, And for me, Neymar is definitely one of the best players to play the game. Definitely underrated, And as you said, McGinn doesn't get the respect he deserves. And I think once the likes of Neymar and Pogba hang up their boots, I think that's when the respect comes in, because there's no doubt in my mind you've got two players there that are two of the best players of their generation, whether people like it or not. So McGinn says, Jota, great sub to have. Nunes going to Napoli. Yeah, listen, Jota is a good impact sub. Nunes to Napoli. I heard Nunes was going to Atletico Madrid. I know there's been talk about Liverpool trying to get Julian Alvarez in a swap deal with Nunes, which again, I can't see happening. And if that was to happen, that's a great deal for Liverpool, because Julian Alvarez is a very good player. Ishmael says Ronaldo or Messi. Messi, definitely. Big up to the Chandy98. Big up for coming on. Guys, come on, 31 of you watching, 18 likes. Let's try and up the likes if you're in there for the first time. Smash that like button, help the channel to grow. And again, make sure you subscribe to my channel at GavGoesIn. It's been a great stream, guys. Big up yourselves for all your questions. So, Ishmael says, if you say Ronaldo, I will sub to you. No. No, man. If you want to sub. If you don't, then it's your choice, man. The Chandy98 says, what do you think of the Wirtz signing? Haven't had a chance to catch a stream since he got announced. So, again, Florian Wirtz is one of my favourite players in the world right now. And, I was obviously doing streams before, And again, it was very ambitious from myself, really. I was saying, I wonder if United can actually, you know, be interested in Florian Wirtz, because I think this system as a left 10, it'd be perfect for it. But that was more of an ambitious. I did say once Kevin De Bruyne was announcing that he's leaving, Florian Wirtz is the ideal replacement for him, in that City team. Obviously, them getting Ryan Cherky now is it's I mean, Ryan Cherky for me is one of the best young players in the game. So for them to get Cherky for cheaper is great business. But for me, Florian Wirtz, when I heard he was linked to Liverpool, again I was shocked, man. And for me, there's no doubt that he's going to be a success. What I like about Florian Wirtz is that Florian Wirtz for me is a Barcelona type player. The way he's composing the ball, the way he can get in between the lines, and connect midfield to attack. And what I would say is that the fact that he's gone to Liverpool, he's gonna add to their team in terms of the creativity, and not to mention he's a goal threat as well. Florian Wirtz, he's a massive goal threat. So, yeah, man, he's a great player, man, great player. So, if you're a Liverpool fan, to get Florian Wirtz at your club, is great business, man. And I know it cost the British transfer record fee, but it was always going to do that. I mean, you look at the fact that Bayer Leverkusen lost their manager, Xabi Alonso, their captain, Jonathan Tah, to their rivals, Bayern Munich, their first choice right wing back in Frimpong, and their best player, Florian Wirtz. It was always going to be for for a British transfer fee. For me, that's going to be money well spent. And as I said, I think he's a top player. And yeah, I can't see anything but him being a success, personally. A player that I would love to have Man United to sign, but was never really going to happen. A player that I was surprised that Man City didn't get, but again, with the fees involved, that was never going to happen. And the fact that Liverpool have got him, interesting. I think the one thing I would say, though, is I'm going to be very interested to see what number Wirtz wears, because, as we know, Wirtz wore the number 10 shirt at Bayer Leverkusen. He wears number 17 for Germany. Number 10, obviously, is Alexis McAllister. If I'm honest with you, I think what Liverpool should do as a sign of intent is give McAllister number 8, take number 8 from Dominic Szoboszlai, and then give Wirtz the number 10. That's what I think Liverpool should do. Can I see that happening? I'm not too sure, because unless Szoboszlai was leaving, you might upset him. But I think McAllister does need to get the number 8 and give Wirtz the 10. But I think Wirtz might even take 27, the former number that he wore at Leverkusen before he moved to the 10. Who knows? But yeah, man, what a signing. What a signing. So if Slot goes out of Champions League in round 16, again, I wouldn't bet against him getting sacked as a Liverpool fan. I don't know, I'm not too sure. As I said, I think it's pretty harsh. But again, I like the standards. This is the standards that most clubs should be adopting. I have to watch Man United, I have to watch Man United manager Ruben Amorim before the Aston Villa game pick up 9 points in 2025, and the guy still keeps his job. And all you hear is people saying that, it's not his own players, all this crap. So the fact that Liverpool fans are saying he should get sacked if he doesn't get, if he goes out in the round of 16 Champions League or doesn't win the league title, them standards for me, I can get behind. I can get behind them, definitely. But for me, I think it might be a bit harsh, if I'm honest. But if Liverpool did sack him, I'd rate Liverpool for doing that, because they spent the money, and it's unacceptable really for them to not have a title really for the amount of money they spent. And again, it's standards. It's standards that Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, is what they live up to. And I just wish Man United had the same, because we're going into a new season with Man United. Amorim, for me, has got 5 games. I don't care what players have come in, what players haven't come in. You're meant to be a coach these players, and let's see what happens. And if he fails, then you sack him. The first 5 games of the season, United got Arsenal at home, Fulham away, Burnley at home, City away, and Chelsea, I think, at home. I expect at least 3 wins, 2 to 3 wins, which means he's going to have to beat either Arsenal, Chelsea, or City. But the Burnley and Fulham game, I expect at least a win against Burnley from them at home, And if that doesn't happen, the first 5 games, he should go. Simple as. Chrism says, Isak is another Andy Carroll as Newcastle player. Okay, I'm going to skip that because that's just nonsense. Isak's another Andy Carroll. All right, obviously you haven't watched Isak play. Ishmael says Benzema, again, another one of my favourite players. And again, if anyone doesn't know, Karim Benzema actually modelled his game on R9. If anyone remembers Karim Benzema when he first came through at Lyon, I remember watching him for France under 21s, and he was in the same team they played against England actually. I think it was him, Nasri. If anyone remembers a player called Jeremy Menez as well. And Benzema actually modelled his game on R9. Obviously him going to Real Madrid had to kind of redefine his game. Obviously because Ronaldo came in. But as soon as Ronaldo went, you just saw how good Benzema was because the guy won the Ballon d'Or and was instrumental in Real Madrid winning the Champions Leagues. So top player, man, Karim Benzema. One of my favourite players of all time as well. Guys, come on, there's 58 of you watching live. Okay, let's smash that like button. Obviously, got 20 likes on there. 58 of you in there, which is good viewing. Big up yourselves as well. And again, subscribe to my channel, guys. Big up yourselves. Just hit 20 likes. Big up. Again, if you enjoyed the stream, guys, smash that like button. Smash that like button. Keep giving me your questions. I'm going to wrap up in about 10 minutes to go through your questions, but big up. Chandy says, United probably don't want to buy Douglas Luiz. Good thing, too. If they sign him, lol, they're a package deal. Oh, okay. So you're talking about Douglas Luiz and Alicia Lehmann. Yeah, listen. He obviously, Douglas Luiz went to Juventus. And she followed him there. So, yeah, listen. If they get both of them in a package deal, I don't really care, man. Ain't my money, And but Douglas Luiz is a good player. And again, guys, Douglas Luiz, who's he a former player of? Manchester City. You know what I mean? The amount of players that Man City just churn out it's actually depressing. Depressing the amount of players they churn out, man. But yeah, no, he's a very good player, man. And I was actually surprised that Aston Villa, he actually parted ways with Aston Villa, if I'm honest. So, Sankurf Entertainment says, who is going to win the Ballon d'Or? So, again, I think I've been answering this question previously before. For me, it's between Lamine Yamal and Ousmane Dembele. And I did say, what was actually funny, actually, is that whoever won the Nations League, I think would have been the favourite. The fact that both teams didn't win the Nations League, could we see it go to a Vitinha? Because I know Vitinha hasn't got the numbers, but Vitinha won a Champions League, the Nations League, and he's won, I think, 3 trophies for PSG as well. The same with Nuno Mendes. I mean, I've never seen a fullback get it, and it wouldn't sit right with me a fullback getting the Ballon d'Or. But Vitinha is a top football player, and he could be in the shout. But I think it might be between Yamal and Dembele. If we're looking at the best player overall, it's obviously Yamal. But in terms of trophies won and the numbers as well to go with it, then Dembele might have a shout. But I'm going to say Yamal. Yamal has to win it. I know Yamal's young, but I think just give it to the best player, man, which has been Lamine Yamal. But if Dembele does get it, then Dembele would deserve it, to be fair, as well. But big up. So Salam Mahmood says opinion on Nico. Who's Nico? Is that Nico Williams you're talking about? Salam, if you're still in the chat, let me know who you mean. Is it Nico Williams? Luca Millar says you are my idol. Yeah, big up, Luca, man. Big up. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe as well, man. Big up. So smash the emoji button to magnify this guy's channel. This action boosts the natural algorithm. Yeah, big up, Chris Mark. Big up, man. NS there says, are you surprised on how the South American clubs are playing against European teams, and who do you think will win the FIFA Club World Cup? Yeah, do you know what? Someone else said that to me the other day. If I'm right in saying, I think all the South American teams haven't been beaten yet. Is that still true? I mean, to be fair, like, you know, am I surprised? No, not really. I mean, if you look at a lot of the European teams, they've had hard seasons, a lot of them. And again, these South American teams, as we know, the heart and passion is always there. And them coming up against, you know, their European counterparts, I think it's safe to say that, you know, it means a lot to them, man. So, and again, these countries have a lot of quality in their team. You know, some unknown players. So, yeah, as I said, I'm not surprised, but who do I think wins it? I'm not too sure. I'm gonna stick my neck out and say I'm gonna go with PSG. I think between PSG, Real Madrid, Man City, I think one of them three might win it. I don't think Chelsea win it. I don't think Chelsea have enough. But I'm gonna say the other three. They might be the three that have a chance of winning it. But again, could be surprised, you know. Big up to Harry Pro Fun R9. Big up to Luca. Luca says, you are so beautiful, man. Yeah, Luca, listen, man. Big up for your comment, man. But strictly straight, man. Big up. Nathan says, I love your tattoo. Yeah, big up, Nathan, man. I'm getting some more done, actually, next week, funny enough. But yeah, man. Yeah, tattoos, man. I think they're addictive. That's what I will say. You know, when I first started, I got like a small one. And then I thought, you know what? Let's get another one. And then it keeps going on and on. You know, I just finished getting one in Turkey, actually, on my leg. So, yeah. I like tattoos, man. But big up, man. Big up. Got quite a few still. Harry says, my best in England league team is Liverpool. Yeah, listen, you've had some good signings, man, this window. Let's see if you make any more. Because I think Kirkez, Frimpong, and obviously Wirtz, you know, it's a very good window there. They get a striker in, they're going to take some stopping. And the thing as well, again, Liverpool been linked with Mark Guehi. And I'm surprised I'm not, because I thought Liverpool might have looked at a left-sided defender to add the balance. But Mark Guehi, to be fair, that's a good signing if they get him over the line, because, you know, he's experienced. He's an England international. I think I'll go as far as saying now he's probably the first name on the team sheet at the back for England when he's fit. You know, and obviously I think his contract's running down as well. So, yeah, that's a good signing if they get him. I think he's going to cost a bit of money, though. So Broderick says, I pity the guys who don't rate Neymar. They genuinely missed their chance to watch a special player. MSN will never be repeated. Yep, listen. I can't agree with that. I can't disagree with that, to be honest with you. Yeah, listen, MSN, Messi, Neymar, Suarez. Yeah, that was illegal. That's an illegal front three. And then you've got Iniesta, Busquets, and Rakitic backing it up. I mean, that's just dumb, really, let's be honest. But, yeah, listen, if you haven't seen Neymar on his peak and you're just watching Neymar now thinking he's at Santos, then I'm sorry, man. Like, yeah. What the best way to describe Neymar, yeah, is that Neymar was that good when he was playing in Brazil. He had people watching the Brazilian league. Because I can tell you this for free. I never watched the Brazilian league. But I started watching it when Neymar was doing his madness. And that's what prompted Barca to sign him. Because let's not forget as well, he was meant to go to Real Madrid. But that fell through. And then Barca just snapped him up. Again, he was... And again, what people probably don't know as well is that Neymar was on the Ballon d'Or list playing in Brazil. That's never been done. That shouldn't even happen. He was in the top 10 for in the Ballon d'Or list playing in Brazil. You know, I've never heard that in my life, because obviously the Brazilian league isn't regarded as one of the top leagues, but their player managed to make the top 10 of the Ballon d'Or. Yeah, That's how good Neymar is. So big up to Blue Edits as well. Yeah, Sham says Verts take number 27. Yeah, I thought so personally. I did think he would. Ennis there says, why is Bayer Leverkusen not interested in Garnacho? Eric Ten Hag will obviously give him the environment to make him one of the best. Big up Ennis there, bro. Listen, great question, but you lost me when you said Garnacho one of the best. I'll tell you this for free. There's no way Garnacho is going to be one of the best. He doesn't have the ability to be one of the best. And again, I'm sick and tired of hearing this guy being hyped up to a level that he's never going to reach. I've watched too much football. You know, I've seen too many good players to know that this guy ain't good enough. You know, Eric Ten Hag, please come and take Garnacho, Rasmus Højlund, Mason Mount, Onana. Take all four of them. Take all four of them, and all is forgiven. But when you're saying that Ten Hag's going to come and take Garnacho and make him one of the best, he might make him one of the best on the bench. But listen, he ain't going to be a top player, man. I'm sorry to break your heart, man. He's not. Sham says no way he'll get sacked. They'll give him another season. Yeah, I agree. Guys, gonna skim through some of the chat, but big up, man. Only a few chats left to go through. So Harry Profun says Frimpong versus Kirkers in Liverpool. Yeah, man, come on. Yeah, listen, that's a solid window for Liverpool. I ain't gonna lie. So Chrism says will be a lot easier for Liverpool to get rid of Diaz and then the number 7 shirt to Verts. Yeah, 7 on Verts doesn't feel right for me. He's got to wear 10 or 27. I know he wears 17 for Germany, but 27 is very first number for Leverkusen, then the 10. But yeah, personally, if I was on a slot, I'll just say, look, Szoboszlai, I'm giving 8 to McAllister. Don't give a damn if you're going to get angry with it. And then give 10 to Verts. That's what I would do, personally. That's what I would do. Azim, great question, man. Great question. And again, one of those questions that I hate to answer because it's one of them things where it doesn't feel right picking one player or the other. So Azima said, Sergio Ramos or Virgil van Dijk? That is tough. Well, let's start with Virgil van Dijk first and foremost. Virgil van Dijk, for me, I know people might say, you know, it's the era that he's playing in, where there isn't too many great strikers. How would he have done against the likes of Drogba, Henry, etc., Alan Shearer, Aguero, all these kind of players in their prime? I look at Van Dijk as in terms of a central defender and what he has to offer. You know, he's 6 foot tall, strong, got pace, good change of pace as well, very composed on the ball, great passer of both feet. He's an aerial threat in the box, opposition box. He can take a free kick as well. Technical, like there isn't any weakness to Van Dijk's game, you know. So for me, in terms of Premier League centre-backs in the era, he's definitely one of the best for me, you know. Obviously, people will have their arguments to say if he played up against those strikers that I've just mentioned, he might have had a bit of a difficult time. But in terms of his quality and what he has to offer as a defender and being a leader, for me, he definitely has to be up there. But Sergio Ramos, for me, I think Sergio Ramos is possibly... I'd go as far as saying he's probably in the top 3 defenders of all time. That's how highly I think he is, you know, because, again, just like Van Dijk, Ramos had everything, you know, very competitive, could strike a ball, technical, strong, quick, leader, you know, was an absolute warrior for Real Madrid for years. He's won everything in terms of club-wise as well and international. So, yeah, it's a tough one, but I don't know. The thing is, if I say one or the other, it's not going to sit right. I'm going to say Ramos, Sergio Ramos, but yeah, Van Dijk, man, for me, is definitely up there as well. But I'm going to say Ramos, because Ramos, for me, He's one of my favourite defenders because I think he was very underrated. If anyone remembers the Champions League final against Liverpool, when Ramos just pulled down Mo Salah. And I think I was having a conversation the other day with someone about this, with Jonas actually. If you actually watch Ramos, I swear he was laughing when he actually done that to Mo Salah. You know, the guy was so intelligent, you know, and a winner. So for me, as Azima said, Ramos is a dirty player, but he was very smart with it as well. Because the way that he pulled down Salah, I'll tell you now, that ended Liverpool's hopes of doing anything in that final, and Madrid won it. You know, so yeah, what a player, man! What a player! What a player! But guys, listen up. Been going for hour and a half, just over an hour and a half. You know, obviously 22 likes on there. You know, big up each and every one of you for coming through. You know, each and every time. I appreciate you I appreciate all the comments and again and all the dialogue as well. And big up to all the mods as well. You know, obviously each and every time. You know, keeping the chat going and regulating the chat as well. Guys, listen, this channel, you know, it's open for everyone. You know, if you've got any positive football talk and you like just talking about football all day, every day, then this is the channel for you. If you're gonna come in there and be rude, you know, then my mods will just take care of it and you just get blocked, you know, because as I said to you, like, we're not here to agree on things. It's about having dialogue, you know. If we agree, then fair enough, you know, but if we don't agree, then let's keep it respectful. And as I said, every one of you that's in there still has been respectful. And as I said, I appreciate that. But yeah, if you are being disrespectful, then as I said, my mods they're on job, you know, they'll take care of it, you know. But as I said, big up to each and every one of you for coming through. I should be back tomorrow. Not sure what time. Obviously, I've got to schedule it. Obviously, if there's any breaking news, then obviously keep an eye. If you guys have smashed that like button and subscribed, obviously make sure your notifications on as well. And I'm going to be back as well next week. So next week, Monday, we're back with Jonas. And then next Friday, I'm back with Flawless. So I've got me and Jonas next Monday at 6:30. And then I've got me and Flawless from Sarcasm City next Friday at 5:30. So as I said, I will be scheduling it. So you guys make sure you keep an eye out as well. And as I said, if you guys have enjoyed the content, don't forget to smash that like button, you know, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and check out my other content as well. And if there's any requests that you guys would like about footballers, you know, teams or whatever, again, let me know. Make sure you put that in the comments after. You know, even if you guys want to do a collaboration and come on camera and we can discuss football, let me know. I'm always up for that, you know. But yeah, as I said, big up yourselves. Big up to all the mods each and every time. Big up to everyone contributing to the channel and subscribing and smashing that like button. And as I say, keep an eye on the on the notifications to see when I go live. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in a bit. Take it easy.